Here's the Harbor Freight scissors jack cart, minimum of 11, maximum 34.5. What I've got is I want to get this big ass window air conditioner in the window. And the old one over here is all screwed up, and it was a new old stock one that was down right there. Bought that off eBay years ago and never have installed it. This has got a Freon R22 leak that I got to fix. Anyways, when it was delivered, I took it out of the box and was sitting on this cart. And I got the scissors jack years ago, and what I did is this goes off to 34.5. I needed a spacer that was 23.5 inches. So this is a box completely full of peanuts, and also there's some tubes in the center to keep it support so it's not going to crush. This is completely filled up, plus there's some stuff in the center to prevent it from crushing. So with this 2-foot piece, I'm able to go ahead and get this to slide it in the window over here. And that's what I'm doing. So what I did is that if you put this on the scissor jack, the new one, you put it on the jack, lift it up. This is about the same as this work table. So then I went ahead and dropped the scissor down, put the box on it, slid it across, and then lifted it up. So I'm using the box as a spacer. And if you're doing this all the time, you should probably make your own wooden box. I know this will crush, it's very dangerous, so what I did is I've got a bunch of tubes that are cut off in the center of this, so it's not going to compress. And it's completely wadded full of packing peanuts and a bunch of other junk. So if I did this all the time, I'd make a 2x4 box or something like this. But this made this a one-man installation. Get the old window air conditioner in. This is actually a Whirlpool up here, Benton Harbor, Michigan. It's got heating and cooling. I don't need any heating down here, but it's one I got as new old stock from a place in Seattle on eBay years ago. And all I really care about is the cooling, but because it's got heating, it's got this big giant connector almost like for welding, which I don't need. So I've unplugged this. This is the heating element here. So I'm not going to use that, and I can go ahead and then just use a normal 20 amp circuit because this is not in here. And if I used a 20, it's probably going to blow on this, so I'm not going to use that. There's no heating required. What they did is when they moved overseas, they changed the form factor. So next time I'll probably put a mini split in. And I got another video in which I show there's a leak over here on the coil of the one I just pulled out. And now since it's pulled out, I can go ahead and work on it as a spare. But the original air conditioner was put through the wall here probably, I think it was in 1994. And it was a Crosley, which actually is a Whirlpool. It's just a rebranded down here in the South. And it had an EER of, I think of about 9 or something like that. Let me just see here. Had an EER of, the original one, this is, I think this is the replacement one, had an EER of 10.5. Original one we had in was 24,000 and it had an EER of 9. I think around 9, 8.5 to 9, and then this newer one, it was like this, 18,000, it was 8.5. And then with the same form factor, we got one at Lowe's well before Katrina, and that was a 10.5. And this one here has an EER, I think, of about, let me see, 230 volts, ER 9.7, which isn't great, but it's just a booster unit that's used here. And I just wanted to document how I went ahead and used the scissors jack here. Again, if you do this, this could collapse and smash your feet. So I've got, this is not just a box, it's actually reinforced inside, so it's not going to collapse. And so This is just made a one-man operation to go ahead and put that in there. Okay, this is about the 4th air conditioner we put in this slot in the last 24 years. Got the date here, I'll put it in. And then I've got this hooked up to a watt-hour meter here. You can see it spinning around. Case of H is 3, count the number of seconds. And you can figure out the number of watts. And then just for temporary use here, I've got this adapter. Got to go wire this in. We use this for a different application, but I just wanted to check to make sure this worked. This is actually built in 2006. When they run low in refrigerant, what will happen is you'll have this frost all the way up. And then the other one I did is I put a bullet valve on up over here on the suction side. And then went through and added refrigerant, but then it'll leak out in about a month. I'll show you that over here in a second. Okay, there's the one running over here. Here's the one I pulled out earlier. June 17th of 2004. This was built, it's hard to see when this thing was built. It's hard to read. Anyways, on here, I put a bullet deal on here. These are kind of like not necessarily a permanent thing because it can end up leaking, but it proved my theory that I've got a leak, and the leak is right down on one of these tubes. I got another video where I show that there's a leak. So what I need to do is go through this and pressurize this up, and then go through and find where the leak is and see if I can braze that in. See if there's any other leaks. So since this is low gone on gas, I can go through and just put nitrogen and go up to, I think the test pressure here, low side's 150, high side 300 is the design pressure. You can put 150 on here, nitrogen, spray it and look for bubbles. Now if there's a little bit of refrigerant left in it, you can find that with the sensor. And I have a video where I show there's a leak in here with the ultrasonic probe. This form factor was made for a long time, and there's the connector. That's a 220 volt with a non-heated version. Nobody works on these locally. The one I just put in right now has got 3 capillary tubes. I had 2, and this one's got 3. This is an 18,000 7.2 amps. Let me see where it says the EER. 1998. R22. Boy, I think it's 10.7 on there. The label's kind of way. But what they do is they a lot of times make one package like this, and then the ones that has a lower capacity has a higher EER or even a SEER rating if you go to a modern rating, because they basically have about the same size area in the front, and then you have, it's more efficient because you've got lower capacity. You can bring the fluid back down to room temperature here with the cooling, and also on the outside. So in the bigger units that had higher number of BTUs, they usually had a lower rating because they didn't want to make the box bigger. And unfortunately, this is the last. To get that other unit was like very difficult to do because I searched and searched on eBay and finally found one. So this is just a get me by unit. EER is 9.7. That was a lot back 20 years ago. The one I pulled out was 10.7. But it would all freeze up. It had 3 capillary tubes. The old one, this has got 2. I suspect because they only have a lower number of coils because they had to put the coil in there. That's what I've got discontinued. Yeah, since I got discontinued there, that's actually live. Connector up there. So what I should probably do is turn this off and then cap these 2 wires and put that in as a plug. This was in a process room where we had a big HEPA filter in front of it. That's why the cover's off.